Welcome to Be the Wellness Podcast, where we help you master your body, mind, and the experience of life through insightful conversation, interviews with experts and thought leaders, all with a side of marital banter and some good old-fashioned humor.
Yes, we are your hosts, Adam and Vanessa Lambert, and we're committed to helping you live life fully expressed physically, mentally, and experientially. Sit back, grab a cup of coffee, and join the conversation.
Hello and welcome everybody to Be the Wellness Podcast. Adam and Vanessa Lambert doing the podcast late at night.
Late night podcasting.
Yeah, getting it done. It's grind time here at Be the Wellness.
It is.
Yeah, but that's okay.
Because in less than 10 weeks, we will be on the road for a month, basically. We'll be out adventuring with the bees in the wild.
In the wild.
So it's
Peru
time to get
and
shit
New Zealand, back to back.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Crunch time.
Crunch time.
Party's over, people.
Yes.
So if you see anything on our Instagram that looks like we're having fun, it's not a current picture.
Don't believe it.
It was taken somewhere else at a different
Some
time.
other time. Although we are leaving for Colorado in 2 days. And
I know.
We probably will have some
it's
fun
pretty,
there. But
yeah. Well, we're going axe throwing.
We are going axe throwing.
Yeah. So we're going to visit our good friend in Colorado.
Yes.
And we got a random text from her like 2 days ago that's like, do you guys want to do axe throwing on Friday night or whatever? I'm like, yes. I mean, absolutely.
I was hoping that's like a new drug that they are doing in Colorado.
Oh, it's like some kind of, they got all the crazy stuff out there.
I'm just kidding. Or a new dance, maybe. I'm like,
a dance.
Yeah, new dance.
Yeah.
But no, it's fine. I'm excited. It's going to be interesting.
You're going to like actually axe throwing you'll be okay with?
I think I'll be okay with it. I got to get my axe throwing arm warmed up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which one do you think you throw with?
Definitely my right.
You think?
For sure.
Man, sometimes that kind of stuff, like, you just never know.
I mean, it'll be stronger with my right, for sure. I could probably chuck it okay with my left, but my right would definitely be my stronger arm.
Yeah. Well, if you really want to make the apocalypse team, I'm going to need to see some solid ambidextrous axe throwing.
Okay.
Horseback.
So this is also a tryout for your apocalypse team.
Yeah, you got to make the cut. Now that the Tahoe location has been secured.
Don't you think that I get in on comedy alone?
I don't know. So we had this conversation. Who were we having this conversation with?
I don't know, but
somebody recently. Oh, Willie.
Oh, yeah. Willie, that's right.
Yeah, and he never makes the team. Remember? Because he's like, you make the first cut, but like after 100 days or whatever, when everybody's hungry, like they don't care if you're funny anymore.
It's so true.
They're like, all right, dude.
But
how
can
are
you
producing?
build something?
Can you build something? Can you throw an axe with both hands?
All right. Well, I guess I need to take this more seriously than I previously intended.
All right. Good correction.
All right. Cool. All right. Moving on.
So.
Before we move on, though.
Yes.
If you are out there and you're listening and you're enjoying this podcast, I would like to take this 15 seconds to request that you stop and scroll down in your feed, leave a 5-star review, and leave a comment. Subscribe to the podcast. Let us know you're out there listening.
Yeah.
We really look at every single comment, and we're waiting for you to make your comment.
It's true.
Yes.
And we'll know.
Like
it'll be obvious that it was you.
We'll know you, Skater 437.
Is that guy still even spam?
I don't know. But anyhow, that's it for now.
Yes.
Moving on to more important things.
More important things like authentic self.
Authentic self, yes.
So what's the deal with authentic self?
So I wanted to take this opportunity to come correct on authentic self. You know, previously I mentioned that we were going to do authentic self with the inclusion of Rythmia next year, which is still the case. Mm-hmm. However, I have decided to also run an additional version of it, an additional course of authentic self without the inclusion of Rythmia. Right. And, you know, I really am obviously super committed to the transformative work that is available through plant medicine and through the work that we're doing in Costa Rica. But when I really look in my heart of hearts, I don't want that to be a reason that people don't have access to change and can't start the ball rolling forward, because maybe you're not in the place where you're ready to take that big of a leap, or maybe even the timeline or what have you won't work out. So when I sat and meditated on it more deeply, and I got some feedback, actually some people reached out about whether or not the class would be offered without it for various reasons. I really just found that it's in my heart of hearts to help people in whatever way I can and whatever way they'll allow me in. And so I've decided to run 2 classes of Authentic Self, one with the inclusion of Rythmia and the week in Costa Rica, and one without. So, and that feels really good. And I feel like I just want people to know that, as much as I was joking about making a cult last week, it really isn't a cult. It's really about, like, my why is really about helping people and sharing love with you and making it accessible to people. And we're about to wrap up 2018 Authentic Self. I think we're in our last week right now. And I immediately get sad when it's almost over, because it's just such special work to me. And I really love deeply the people and the experience of it. So I just really think that it's important for me to keep that funnel open for people to meet you wherever you're at. So that is the sort of massaging of that and the change that I made. The other change is it's only going to be 9 months. So we are changing it a little bit, and we're staggering the start dates. So the first group without Rythmia will actually start in February. And then the second group won't start until June, so that Rythmia will actually fall sort of center into the work. So we'll have a staggered start. So those of you out there that are interested in doing it, you'll just need to know which of those you want to do, which date you'll want to start, so that it'll correlate with whichever version of it you're doing.
Right, because if you want to do it without Rythmia, that means you're starting in February.
You're starting soon. Yeah,
and
exactly.
if you want to do it with Rythmia, you're not starting in February.
Exactly. Yeah. And some more exciting changes to Authentic Self. I've, continued to assess and reassess how I can improve it, how I can make it different. And one of the reasons that we're condensing it to 9 months is we're taking the goal setting module, and I'm actually creating a live online seminar. So I'll actually do that live with folks in person. So instead of kind of stretching that out over the course of a few months, I'm going to actually condense it and hammer it out with people and really power through it, but do it live with people, which I think will help get them through that process a lot quicker.
For sure. It's one of the hardest things when you're just faced with a question on a screen and you're supposed to start writing in the things that you're thinking of, or where to even start with this, and what does she mean by this. And being able to do it in a live coaching environment where you get the opportunity to hear what other people are doing and learn from the feedback that they're getting as well as you, it's going to streamline that process dramatically.
Totally. Yeah. So I'm really excited about that. And I'm just, we're finally in a place now where we just technologically and time-wise and all that good stuff, it's lining up for me to be able to do that more easily. So I'm just really excited about being able to offer that. And then also a really significant change in the way that we're going to go about Authentic Self is that I'm actually going to be doing monthly group coaching calls. So we'll actually do an online live call once a month to go over what we've been working on for the month. Just really kind of hammer in any of the details, answer any questions, share. The community piece of it is so, so huge that I want to give us an opportunity to kind of share in person in live time. And obviously, some folks will have that opportunity at Rythmia because we'll get to be in person live and doing that work together. But I want to make that sort of a consistent feature of the program this year, and just see how that plays out. I think it's going to make a big difference for people to have that live interaction.
Yeah, well, there's no doubt. I mean, there's the thing about the coaching via the app, which is super beneficial. It works really well. It's great for accountability, and it's all of those things. A lot gets lost in text.
Sure.
At the end of the day, you receive, this happens in day-to-day life. You get an email or a text message from somebody, or like, what is it? Or now people don't even listen to the voicemail, right? They just look for the transcription.
Right.
And they're like, what does this mean?
Right.
You're like, The words just don't get it done.
Sure.
And so to be able to actually speak it and hear it and get that feedback, and then, of course, with video calling, you get the visual feedback.
Yeah, exactly. An authentic self is such a tight group. It lends itself. Obviously, you're doing this really deep transformative work, and you're really, you're digging into deeper parts of yourself, and exposing things that are vulnerabilities, but also accessing deeper knowledge that you have stored within. And I think it lends itself to having this really tight community feel. And so I'm all about that community feel. And I think there's such power that can be created among the connection of the group. And it's one of the most powerful things about authentic self is the group, is the dynamic of sharing with each other. So to give sort of voice to that in a live setting is really exciting.
Yeah, totally. And then if you're nervous about being on camera, you can turn your camera off.
Yeah, totally. And, it's one of those things where even if you don't want to participate in the live calls, we'll record those. They'll be available for the group so that even if you can't make one or something's going on, it's just a verbal access point to the work that's going on. And we often learn a lot through the questions that are asked by others. Mm-hmm. So even if it doesn't work out for everyone to participate in every single call, it's just another way that you can receive this information and you can learn through each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good stuff. It works.
And obviously I love talking to people, so.
Right. Yeah, it's funny because because I do bi-monthly, every other week.
Yes.
Every other, whatever that is.
Every
other week.
It means both. Bi-weekly means twice a week and every other week. It's a really funny word, yeah.
So twice a month I do video coaching calls with my body composition shift clients. And it's really nice. Mm-hmm. Like, it's so good to be able to connect and just see, and you can see how people are doing. And, and then for me, I pay pretty close attention to how all of this stuff goes. So I see changes in how people's faces look, because it's usually all you can see. You see changes in people's faces in 2 weeks, and you're like, oh,
sure.
Okay. Mm-hmm. What we were seeing in the numbers here doesn't add up with what I'm seeing on you physically. Right. And so we're headed the right way, or whatever's going on. So it's, the feedback and the ability to just be with the people that you're dealing with in that circumstance are pretty awesome.
And also, you might catch a glimpse of me accidentally walking out of the bathroom in my bra.
Yeah, it's possible.
Which is my favorite thing to do when Adam's on his coaching call.
Yeah, the layout of our office situation to the bathroom it's neat. It's I got a new camera that's like a wide angle camera for you know what I mean. So it's like it gets a little more than it used to.
I came out one day and Adam was like, shh, waving me away. I'm like, what? I'm like, oh, whoops.
On air. We need one of those on-air signs to put in here.
Totally.
That would actually be pretty funny.
So you might get flashed. No, I'm much better about it now. So anyway.
Only takes once.
Yeah. So really exciting. Really excited about this next year. And, authentic self for me is such it's my baby. It's just like my offering to help people change if they want to change certain things or to, evolve or just become more in alignment with who they really want to become. And it's such powerful work and it's such a labor of love. So I'm really excited to just be kind of reassessing, reevaluating, and reconstructing it this next year. And I think it's going to be a really powerful dynamic with the way that we're going to set it up.
Yeah, I think so. I like the changes. I think it's good.
Yes. So for folks out there that are listening and you're not going to want to do Rythmia, then you're going to want to sign up for the first Authentic Self that launches. I sent out an email today, actually, just kind of pre-announcing the offerings, but more of that will be coming in the next week or so. We're just dialing in some of our tech to kind of split those programs up and get prepared to deal with the actual technology part of it. to do it all. Yeah. And so if you're going to want to do the Rythmia piece of it, you will be able to sign up for Authentic Self at the same time. And the nice thing about that is that you can start making payments towards your Rythmia retreat and Authentic Self, so we can break up the amount over the next basically year, because
10
Rythmia,
months.
10 months
from now, which is January.
Which is right now. So people have time to pay it off. That's something we're always looking to help people do, is make it affordable, make it easy, make it accessible. So you will want to still sign up at the same time, and not only for just for the payment, but just to make sure that they have space for you. Because obviously, Rythmia is open to the public, so this isn't just about our space; it's about what they sell as well.
Yep.
And they're becoming quite popular.
Oh yeah,
everybody's doing it.
Yeah, well, they do it right.
They do it right.
They've got a whole thing going down there.
Yep, they really do. So
that's cool.
We really wanted to take some time today just to announce that to you guys, share all that's going on. We've got, some more exciting announcements coming up in the near future, but wanted to just get that out here live with you guys, especially given that we had sort of announced that we would only be offering it with Rythmia. We wanted to just let you know the update on that. And just that, I'm really excited about that. And I want to thank the people who reached out. And you guys, I think people don't realize what a difference it makes when they reach out and they're in communication with us, because we really do listen. We really do respond and listen to what our community is asking for. And we may not be able to adjust every single request or meet every single request, but we do listen to what it is that you're asking for, how you're at request for coaching in this manner. And so we do try to accommodate when we can.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's important to us,
So before we move on, if somebody does want to do Authentic Self in February,
yes,
how do they, and they're not on our mailing list?
They best get on the mailing list.
Best get on that mailing list.
So the best thing to do would be to reach out to me at info@bethewellness.com and just drop me a line and say, hey, I'm interested, so I make sure to ping you. You can go to our website and just sign up for the newsletter, and then you'll get the announcements.
Yep.
If you do know that if you're interested in the Authentic Self with Rythmia, go in the show notes and fill out the application, because I do want to talk to everyone that's going to join us on that retreat. It's important to me to just kind of talk about the process and what will transpire there.
Yeah.
And so if you want to join that piece of it, go ahead and fill out the application. And then folks who are interested, you've just got to get on the mailing list, or you've got to reach out to me. One of the two.
Yes.
Yes.
Because otherwise, it'll come and go before you know it.
It will.
That's how things go.
Yep, and it's coming right along. So we'll be announcing it here this week. So, yep. It's time.
It is time.
Yeah.
Perfect.
All the things. Yeah.
Yeah. So reach out, info@bethewellness.com.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. And we've got some fun podcasts coming up in the next couple of weeks, some new guests, some exciting stuff to share with you guys, and just really looking forward to another year in the hive.
Another year.
Buzzing around.
Just making this thing bigger.
Just making more honey.
So I wonder if there is an optimal size. You think about beehives, right? Some of them get pretty big.
Yeah. I mean, we had one out in our backyard forever.
Yeah. But what's the limiting factor?
Weight.
They get so big that then they fall off the tree?
Yeah.
Or they get so big that some human complains about it and the exterminator comes?
Probably, which is really sad. But, they have started services where you can relocate beehives, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Before you just go out there with your, raid or whatever.
Right.
Or whatever people do.
Yeah.
You can relocate the beehive, which is really cool because bees are important.
Yeah. So I wonder where wasps and yellow jackets fall on the importance list.
I think they're probably still important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, probably, yeah. But just note to self, before you go relocate a wasp nest.
Yeah.
Or a beehive, make sure it's not a wasp nest.
You might want to consult a professional about this.
Yeah.
I think there's actually services that will relocate beehives.
Right.
If any of the listeners out there know about this, feel free to reach out and let us know the details.
Yeah, because we're just really winging this one.
We're totally winging it. But I remember seeing that because we had our beehive in the backyard, and our landlord, I think he knocked it down or something. I'm not sure what he did. But then I was reading about it, and I was like, it's kind of sucks, you don't want to just kill all these bees. So I was reading about it, and I found a service. It was a relocation service.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's some kind of Africanized honeybee concentration camp somewhere.
Exactly.
These guys, they got to go over here.
Exactly.
It's the chimp sanctuary. That's funny.
Well, I don't know, but I think it's pretty cool because we need the bees.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we do need the bees.
Yeah. We love bees.
Yeah, they do all the things.
Yeah, exactly. So anyhow, that's all I've got. How about you? Anything you'd like to share with our amazing, awesome audience?
Oh, geez. Let's see. So, meditation helps a lot.
Yeah. Ooh,
You know?
tell.
So, because I've said it on lots of mediums. Like I saw the one time we were on TV, I said it. Like every podcast I've ever been on, you know, it's like I say it a lot. That like meditation has been something that's just eluded me and it's like never worked.
Yeah.
And that's no longer the case.
Are you a flip-flopper?
I might be a flip-flopper. If I'm not.
That's
I think
okay.
I'm not running for Congress.
We're both flip-flopping today. It's
that's
fine.
how it goes. But post Rythmia,
Yeah.
like meditation just works now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a trip. And there's like it's just where before it was like an exercise in frustration. Now it just works.
What do you think the difference is?
You know, so there's two things. So one, in the space that you get into with the plant medicine, there's, and I can't remember if I talked about this on our like Rythmia wrap up thing, but there was like an access to just the complete stillness, right? Like the shamans called it the eye of the hurricane, right? The center of the storm, so to speak, where everything stops and it's just completely still, and there's this feeling of access to all of the wisdom and all of the I don't know, I guess wisdom's the right word. It's like, but it's not like this download of information,
Right.
but it's just like tapped into the
source.
everything, the sourceness of the universe, right?
Yeah.
It's like you're staring at the source code and you're like, oh, there it is. That's
Right.
cool. You know, this is where
Yeah.
everything comes from. And so once you get there, I think it's easier to get back, right? Like you've seen it. Now, okay, I've been to that place before. I can recognize it when it pops up and put some attention to it, you know, in the space meditating. So there's definitely that, I think, right? Like once you've been there, it's easier to get back.
Sure.
But there's also this thing, and I can't really put my finger on it in any real sense, but it's like I can just do it now. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's like, it's a combination of the two things, really. It's like I had, you know, a pretty profound experience meditating while we were there. And so I think that probably flipped some just internal switches about, does this work or does it not work?
Sure.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like
So the resistance went away.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, totally. And, you know, I think that there's like a lesson to be had there around what resistance is, right? Because it can show up, you can be trying as hard as you possibly can to do something. And in that trying is resistance. Because if you're having to try to do something, it's because somewhere you think you're not doing it or you can't do it, right? So there's like resistance built into trying,
Right.
you know?
Well, I think a huge thing with meditation is that people just don't know where they're going.
Yeah.
Like they don't. It's like, okay, I'm sitting here quietly, but I don't get it. Like what's supposed to be happening?
Yeah.
And I think that this is why it's so powerful, and why I've always really loved the medicine and the psychedelic work, is that it gives you a roadmap. It's like, oh, this is where I'm trying to get to. Cool. Now I have a spot on the map that I know this is the experience that I'm looking to have, or the lack of experience,
Yeah.
maybe.
Right.
Really, you know, this is the stillness and the emptiness, and this is what the experience of it feels like. And then you actually get to be there. You get sort of like a hall pass to get there a little quicker. And then it just is easier to integrate back into your real life when,
Yeah.
you know, when you know you've been there before.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and I'm using, for the most part, I haven't done the breath work in a while, but that's definitely a access point. But then the binaural beats really help for me.
Yeah.
You know, and like this I know we've talked about. I'm not 100% sure that binaural beats does what people say it does about balancing brain frequencies. I'm not sure about that. I'm not a neuroscientist, but like the things that I've read, I'm like, that doesn't make sense, you know.
Okay.
But it sure as hell helps you meditate.
It really
you know what I mean?
does.
And so at the end of the day, it's like, who cares if it's like, oh, this particular binaural beat is going to put me into theta brainwave state, and that's what the blah blah blah. You're like, I don't know, you know.
Yeah.
But the one that I use shifts between different states, and there's definitely I wait for it now. I've been doing the exact same one for a period of time, and it's like there's a difference when it shifts frequencies, you know. So there's something going on.
I absolutely notice it, and it's why I included them in the meditation challenge, because I just could feel the difference when I would do a meditation with binaural sound waves and without. I would be more deeply embedded into the energy of the meditation with binaural sound waves.
Yeah.
And in fact, people who have not experienced a deeper connection with some of the meditations I've done, oftentimes when I ask them follow-up questions, have said, oh, I don't listen to it with headphones. I just listen to it on my radio or whatever.
Yeah.
And it makes a huge difference.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
when you actually, you request that they listen to it in headphones, it's a completely different experience.
Yeah,
so
100%. It's immersive. But you've been meditating silently.
I have been meditating silently, which is a new
Or at least I'm pretty sure you're silent. I've got headphones on.
You have headphones on, so you don't know. No, actually, since we've been back from Rythmia, I've been completely silent and really enjoying the space of just being in total silence. And I think that there's just, I love binaural sound waves. I love song. I love guided meditation. I love all of that. But for some reason, what really came through for me at Rythmia was cultivating more stillness, cultivating just more space and more openness. And so I even made a Instagram post about, you know, the way that I meditated in a way was doing something. Oh, what meditation am I going to do? What's the subject? So like within the meditation practice, I'm making sure that I'm working on something.
Right.
Like, oh, I need to be working on this thing. Okay, so I'm going to listen to the meditation on abundance or mindset or whatever. So it's like I created this practice in a way where it was still something to do. It was still a task to complete and still like work to be done in my mind.
Right.
And although I think there's tremendous benefit from guided meditation, particularly if you struggle with silent meditation, because I do think it's kind of like, it's sort of a more advanced way of meditating in a sense. And I don't mean like there's a hierarchy, but it's easier to get distracted, and it's easier to be disenfranchised with the whole meditation thing when you're doing it silently, and it might be more difficult. So I think that like it's important for people to find meditation and allow it to meet them where they are.
Yeah.
But for me, I mean, I've been meditating for like 5 years consistently, and this is the first time I've consistently switched over to silent, and I'm just loving it. I love the space. I love the my body and my mind really come into a place where I'm sitting like completely still, not moving, and I'm just completely present in my space. And, you know, it's really interesting because normally if you ask me to sit up straight and sit in like this very sort of rigid positioning, I would be wiggling and squirming and worming around. And for some reason, like I'm able to get into a space where I'm completely still and able to stay in that space. So it's been pretty amazing.
Yeah. That's one thing that Leo said about meditation, right? It was talking about the meditation, the stillness is in your body because your mind's uncontrollable.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like the mind is constantly going to be in flux.
Yeah.
But if you can put the stillness in your body, then that's, you know, the piece of meditation that's interesting, you know, which I still haven't figured that out. It's hard for me to sit still in any one position for very long. Like I don't have the hip flexibility for like lotus position, you know?
Yeah.
And every other position just starts to suck after a while if you're meditating for a half an hour. So
this has been my experience forever. And I mean, I've heard yogis talk about it forever, like that eventually the stillness, it's, you know, it's like the body follows the mind essentially, you know? So it's like if you can create the stillness in your mind, eventually like the body will follow.
Yeah.
But like, it took me a long time to get there. It really did. And this last time, whatever happened with Rythmia and whatever's happening right now, just been able to really get a lot more still. Yeah.
Interesting.
And like, it's funny because it's just, I really think it's about me letting go of stillness being laziness. You know, I just really had to let go of like the fact that I should be accomplishing something within my meditation.
Yeah.
And that has been really freeing. And, you know, it's so crazy because this work, all this stuff that you do, it all the roads kind of lead to the same place, but you take different twists and turns and you have different experiences to highlight sort of where you're going. And, you know, I've heard for years yogis talk about, so you hear that saying all the time, you should meditate an hour a day unless you're super busy, and then you should meditate 2 hours a day.
Right.
And I never understood it. I thought that it meant that you, because you're probably higher stressed, so you need more de-stressing. That's how I always heard it and comprehended it. And it makes sense, right? You're like, oh, okay, yeah, because obviously if you're that busy, you're probably super stressed out and you need more downtime.
Right.
But something that I really realized is that what happens when you are meditating is that you're attuning the level of attraction. So you're attuning what you're attracted to and what is attracted to you. And so if you're trying to perform at a high level, that means you need high attunement, because high attunement is the way that you're going to actually acquire all of these things that you're set out to achieve or to create. And so I always had it in my mind, and the way that I understood it, that it was like more about the stress component. But what you're really doing is cultivating super high vibration, because when you're a really, really busy person, you're trying to perform at optimal speed and optimal vibration. And so if you want to be at that optimized vibration and you really want to be high performing, so this isn't the person who runs themselves into a ditch trying to create things.
Right.
This is the person who's doing it in a way that looks beautiful and looks compliant to their inner space and really is cultivating like a beautiful dream, then that person needs to be cultivating super high vibration in order to stay up to speed with what they're trying to create in the world.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard somebody, maybe I read it. It seems like something I would have read because I don't know who I would have been listening to talking about mountain biking. But I read somewhere that like some famous mountain bike person was talking about ways to get faster. And their advice was, if you want to ride faster, focus on riding quieter. You know, because if you're quiet, that means that your movements are efficient. Like at the end of the day, you know?
Totally.
So focus on riding quiet, and then you're going to be faster. Now, I just thought about that. I mean, there's a lot of that obviously translate into a lot of different things. But
it's a great comparison. Yeah, and you know, I mean, speaking of high vibration, it's just like when you really think about when we're in these, right now, everybody's trying to optimize. Everybody's trying to figure out a hack. Everybody's trying to figure out how they can get the most out of every piece of themselves. And I think that, you know, a high vibration really requires attention. It requires that you stop and really think about what you are attending to and what you are intending to. And, you know, that takes stillness to get there. So it's like the same thing with that quietness. It's a great comparison. Like, get quiet within yourself so that you can be quicker and more attentive and more just more optimized, right? Yeah,
totally.
Yeah. And I think, you know, there's it's funny, someone was asking about Rythmia actually and talking about the pricing, and, you know, I was saying it's not an inexpensive experience, but we were talking about that high vibration things are high dollar things. You know, like if you're paying for something, that if you want a high vibration experience, it's probably likely going to be high dollar value.
Right.
And so it's a completely different shift for people out there who are always looking for the best deal. They're looking for the free programs or the cheapest programs. You're committing to participating in a certain vibration. And it's really important, I think, for people to consider that the programs you want to pay for and the things you want to do are actually the ones that cost more. And I don't mean that like, you know, there aren't good programs that are high value and like low dollar amounts, but like to actually take your vibration up a notch, that's like, you have to match that vibratory stance, and that frequency is usually equivalent in dollar value, you know? And it's like, look at the best coaches in the world.
Yeah. Well, so I think the dollar value is probably secondary, but it like just comes with the market, right? So It's like, if you want access to the best coaches in the world, they're the best coaches in the world because they facilitate this vibrational level. They facilitate this ability to level up.
Yes.
And then they earn more money.
Yeah.
Because they're fundamentally, it's working.
Exactly. Because it's working, and because what they've created is worth the vibration that they're matching, and what they've created is at this accelerated, optimized level. And so I'm not even sure how I got on this tangent, but I think it's an important...
well, we can back it up and listen to it again, but
like, I don't even know how I got here.
Marching along.
But I think it's important, and it's really resonated with me in the last 6 months or so, that, you know, it's really important to stop looking for the lowest price on things, or the cheapest deal, or the whatever. Like, what you want to look for is the highest vibration, that you can start matching that vibration, so that whatever it is that you want to create can start embodying in the same manner.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit tricky because, like, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? You're like, well, how do I match this high vibration? How do I pay this high vibration price if I haven't, like, got myself to the place where I'm in that high vibration in terms of, like, what I'm creating?
Yeah.
And so there is this little, like, pull and...
Yeah, but this is like, I mean, going back to the sort of the money analogy with it. I mean, this saying has been around forever. It takes money to make money.
Yes.
You know, and it's the same way with energy. You know, it's
totally.
Like you've got to be able to step into that one way or the other. You know.
Absolutely.
And I mean, you can even look at it like, and this is how I think about this, because like you do have to incrementally work up to things.
Sure.
You know, whether it's your education or whatever it is, you have to. There's a process to it. You know, it's very difficult to go from 8th grade to a master's program somewhere.
Totally.
You know, there's steps along the way. Probably doesn't take as long as our system makes you.
You're right.
but like you can make those level jumps. You know. And so, and we run into this with food a lot, because I do think that food quality makes a really big difference in how you just are in your life. Like what you are what you eat. And
Definitely.
If you're eating really poor quality food, you're just not going to show up super vibrantly, you know?
Yep.
I mean, one way or the other. You might have great energy and you're gregarious and all of these things, but somewhere you're not,
Something's
it's just not as good, you know?
Right.
And I think if you sit down and you eat a really good meal that's made with great, fresh, obviously the recipe matters, but fresh ingredients and is prepared well, you feel better afterwards. And it's
Totally.
like there's something to it, right? So how do you, since we deal with nutrition a lot, it's like a big piece of people's complaint about paleo is like, God, all this unprocessed healthy food is super expensive, you know? And so one of the ways that we work people through that is like, okay, well, we're going to set a couple of baselines. We're no longer going to eat this anywhere below this quality.
Right.
And then you adjust to how much that costs, and you find different sourcing, and you get the best deal you can at that quality.
Right.
You know, but you've set the bar at the vibrational level, not at the dollar value level, you know?
Right.
And so it's great to bargain hunt to all the way down to the vibrational level that you've set.
Right.
You know, you've got to set that bar though, because otherwise you're at, Target buying food, which is a weird thing.
And actually, Target even has some decently
decently
sourced stuff. But I understand the point that you're trying to make. And the other piece of it is you have to start somewhere. Mm-hmm. But like, if you want to keep improving that vibration, then hopefully over time you'll find new ways to source even better. And you'll find, new resources, or perhaps because of your new vibration, you'll feel better and you'll be performing better at work. And maybe you can ask your boss for a raise so that now there's more vibration, i.e. money, to spend on improving your vibration. And I think that's the same way with programs. You have to start somewhere, right? You have to start getting coaching with what's accessible to you.
Yeah.
But if your goal and if your interest is to keep doing personal development and to keep growing and to keep mastering this human experience, then the goal, would be to keep upping that vibration.
Yeah.
Keep upping the vibration that you can reach. So it's a little bit further and, it might be kind of uncomfortable.
Right.
That's a good indication that you're reaching far enough.
Yeah, no, it really is. And I think, and so when it comes to program stuff, and we see this from our side, from like the coaches side and the content developers and creators side of things, we see it all the time where the level of buy-in that the people have to the program is equal to the cost of the program.
100%. Yeah.
And that's variable for everybody, right?
Yeah.
So, because everybody's got different income streams. But if the cost of this program is a reach for you, you're probably going to get everything out of it that you possibly can.
Yes.
And that happens at every single level.
Right.
And it just keeps going up. Like, as we look around at various coaches and coaching and stuff, we're like, $85,000 to do what? And you're like, Jesus, But if that's if I paid $85,000 for a coaching program, I would do every single thing that was supposed to be done and show up every single day for it, because it's like, shit, well, I'm not going to waste that money on half-assing something,
And my goal is to pay $85,000 for coaching programs. That's the crazy thing, is that like I'm totally flipped on this thing where I'm like, no, my goal is to become that person. Like, I want to be so high vibration that that's the level I'm looking to reach. That I'm like, no, I want a coach who deserves that amount of money.
Well, and that's I think the qualifier,
yes.
right? Is it's like, nobody's trying to waste their money.
No.
But if there's somebody who you look through and you see the work that they've done and the things they've been able to help other people achieve, and you can put that value on it, it's like, shit, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I'm like, wow, that's amazing. I want to support like the vibration that you're putting out there, and that, it's like, I think that it's a whole different way of looking at things, right? Because I think we've become like a bargain shopping community in society. And I think that it's done us a real disservice in a lot of ways. And it's part of our fast fashion attitude. It's part of our whole disposable everything attitude, where we just think like, oh, well, I want to shop at Forever 21 and, then I can buy, and I do shop at Forever 21. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not hating on that.
I got like 40 t-shirts for $8 there.
Yes. But like, we do it sometimes. It's one thing if you do it. So I go there and I buy jeans there because I'm like, you know what? I actually really like them. They fit me well. And it's not like I have to go spend $200 on a pair of jeans. I don't have the value set for that,
right.
Like I, at one point in my life did, but it doesn't have the value for me. So there's nothing wrong with having a value set for something, but the idea for the Forever 21s and all these places is that they've created this fast, disposable everything. Everything is like, well, I'll just get another new one. And Amazon has done that in a way too, is where we're just like, oh, well, I'll just buy another one. We're no longer a society that wants to invest in really quality production and quality things, because we just, want to throw it away and get that newness. We constantly are seeking for that newness and that like burst of excitement around, getting that new influx of thing. And so I think it's just really interesting and important to think about, like, how do you look about the way you invest your money? And are you constantly trying to get the thing that's free or almost free? Or are you actually like, no, I want to pay these people, or I want to pay this program, or I want to buy this thing because this thing is going to make the difference in my life, and it's actually going to get me to that next vibrational frequency that is truly what's in my heart's desire.
Right. Yeah, and then if you were to add up, and I know this is certainly true for, well, in my situation it's different because I don't go through clothes like you.
Yeah.
Well, like a lot of people, it's like I have Lululemon stuff. I mean, one, they make a good product that lasts a long time. Like, that's the bottom line. But like, men's fashion doesn't change that much, What I mean? But I have like 2 pairs of Lululemon pants that I've had for 10 years.
Right. You
know what I mean? It's like, they were expensive. They were probably $130, which feels like a lot of money to spend on stretchy pants, But at the end of the day, I took care of them because they were expensive, and they're good quality. So it's like I've spent less money on stretchy pants in the last 10 years than I would have if I would have bought the, $8 or $20 ones that I didn't have that much value associated with,
Totally.
And so the same, it's all about hitting that mark, wherever that is, that you actually care about what it is that you're consuming.
Yes. And you should care about what it is you're consuming from a food perspective and from a mental perspective. Yeah. I mean, like if you're listening to this podcast, you probably are someone who cares about that stuff. And so we just encourage you to maybe just consider, what's my value set? Am I trying to get something for nothing all the time? Or am I actually the kind of person who's stepping up to the plate saying no, I want to match this next frequency. I'm going to step a little further than what's comfortable. But I know from that space, I'm going to be able to create more in my life, that my vibrational frequency is going to come up, and then I'm going to be able to go to that next space of creation. And so it's just a whole different conversation. And, it's one that I think is worth having, or at least looking at in your life. How do I actually look about these things?
Right.
Do I actually value the things that I seek out, or do I do myself a disservice by not actually stepping all the way into full commitment, which often looks like financial commitment? Because that's another thing about this, is that if we can often use money as a way to say, I'm not fully committed to this transformation or this dynamic that I say I want to create. Mm-hmm. And money is a great way to say I can't do it, because obviously I don't have the money. I would love to be this person who does these kind of things, but I don't have the money. But if you really look in your life, are you spending money on wine, or, going out to eat more? Where are you actually value setting your money? Because more often than not, it's there, or it can be created.
Right.
You're just not that committed to what it is you are giving lip service to changing.
Well, it's the distinction between attached to something and committed to something.
Totally.
Right? You can be attached to the idea of getting healthier and talk about it nonstop and be on forums and all over the world, in the internet, just espousing how attached to becoming healthy you are. Or you can be committed to it and actually make the changes that need to be made in order to facilitate that.
Right.
And those changes are probably far-reaching.
Yes.
It's everything from, how your day-to-day routine looks to where you prioritize your money for food and all of the things. It's a thing.
Totally. And this is when people talk about embodiment, this is what they're talking about, actually embodying the things that it takes to create those changes. It's not external. The changes aren't out here about you talking about it and you discussing it and you espousing about it. Right. It's actually embodied within you, and the action that your person is taking is reflective of that.
Right.
Yeah. So we want you guys to be...
Your person is you.
Your person. Yes, person. You are your person.
Yeah, you are your person.
Yeah. And we just, I think these are really important conversations, especially early in the year, to keep having. And it's kind of why, we're taking these first couple of weeks in the year to just sort of tap into some of these basic ideas and concepts, because, you have a whole brand new year to create life in the way that you want to create it. And you have an opportunity to do things exactly the same as you did last year, or you have an opportunity to step up your game and to really get committed to the things that you want to, transform. It may not even be a transform. It might be just an expansion, a feeling of embodying more. Mm-hmm. Whatever that is for you, just... This is your time. This is your time to really look at how you're going about things. And if this is something you struggle with, obviously, this is why I have Authentic Self. These are the types of things we look at, because what authentic self is, and I just did a wrap-up little video shout out. What authentic self really is about is being in awareness about yourself for a long period of time, where you can actually observe the way that you are about things. Because oftentimes we're not even aware of the way we are about things.
Right.
We have a vision of ourselves and we think, oh, this is how I am. But when you're actually forced to be in observation, you're forced through the tasks and you're kind of, the feet are held to the fire a little bit. You're like, oh shit, maybe I'm not the way. And people get mad. They get pissed. They get irritated. They're like, I mean, I've had people get mad at me about the way things go because it's exposing this raw point where all of a sudden they're having to face this thing, and it's very frustrating.
Yeah.
But if you can have compassion and love and a surrendering to that space, that's where the big, amazing opportunity and opening happens. And that is what the magic is all about in these types of programs. Whether it's authentic self or whatever you're doing out there, just be an observation to the way you really are about the work.
Bam.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
That's it.
That's all we got.
That's all we got.
All right.
And that's all, I mean, that's all we got today. I got way more. I got so much. I could go for hours.
I know.
Don't worry. After we get offline, I'll keep going. Lucky you.
Yeah. No, I like your voice.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining us this week. We are super excited. Brand new year, brand new opportunity. We love you. We are in support of you creating your most badass, most authentic, most experiential life possible. And that's what we are all about. And that's what we continue to put out into the world, and hopes that we can create this community that embodies themselves in the highest way possible.
Yes.
Yes.
All those things.
Yes. We love you. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
And I don't think I would be me without you being you. Your direction, expression, intention has taken us far. We were young, we pictured some of this. I don't know how we know what we'd become. I